You're a grown man! He's a robot cat! Pull yourself together! Seriously.
Hi. I'm Bobby. I am a robot cat. Welcome to my channel. I create clip and drama commentary from mostly small creator communities. Let's have a look. As many of you know, I have been following the Creepshow art saga. Not because I have been accused of being Creepshow art myself many times. Never mind. And I generally add it into my community news. However, Emily Artful has released yet another long-winded video to which she is forced to resurface her difficult past. Thanks to the never-ending accusation from the obnoxious, oblonged, orange, monster, Creepshow art. I should like to give you the TLDR of Emily Artful's final response. In her typical fashion, Emily comes with many receipts. She starts the video out disproving the allegation that there have been any legal proceedings and describing in detail her interaction with Shannon's attorney. She points out that Shannon's attorney is essentially tasked with clearing the name of clients.
Shannon's lawyer sent me an email a few weeks ago threatening that if I did not remove every mention of her and her brand from my social media, that she would be forced to take me to court for defamation. They also asked me to make no mention of the letter they sent me while doing so.
Either one, my lawyers negotiated with Emily's lawyers and we reached a private settlement which resulted in some form of retraction, or two, I took Emily to court for defamation and came out the other side.
Neither of these things have happened. It's a flat-out.
She goes on to disprove, or correct minor discrepancies, and Shannon's accusations leveled against her. Most notably in reference to the alleged assault on Emily as well as addiction accusations.
Talk about my side and to disprove some of the more egregious examples of misrepresentation, but to also come clean about a few things and to be open.
Due to Shannon's incessant weaponizing of Emily's mental health and behavior as an apparent teenager, Emily further explains her mental state during those formative years of her life. Adverse reactions to many medications that were given to her in an attempt to secure her mental health. She recalls her poor behavior and embarrassing posts of her teenage past, while rightfully clarifying and owning the behavior itself. Even further confirming that Shannon has been stalking Emily for quite some time via seeking out her years-old social medias and documenting all public information she could find. Likely long before the LOL cow kerfuffle.
What's really upsetting is that Shannon just continues again and again to weaponize my mental health against me when she had no idea, not a shred of a clue of what I was going through at that moment in time. I just think it's weird she didn't stop and ask herself, not even once, that maybe something was going wrong in my life for me to act that way. Instead, she uses it as fodder for her video. You can obviously see through those screenshots that I was absolutely floundering at that point in time in my life.
She points out that many of the story times from Creepshow Art's channel mirrored her own stories within days of her posting them. Most notably stories of stalking and relationship woes. I tend to agree that Shannon's obsession came to light by Shannon's own video. Emily goes on to prove that images of herself as a child are in fact her by showing her own yearbook. And questions rightfully how and why Shannon would have seen all images of Emily throughout her childhood through adulthood. Emily also tearfully explains her more serious story times of the past, citing that she would often use facts but mix up stories to protect identities as well as offer a resolution. This was a form of therapy and working through her own past traumas.
Storytime videos I made about certain relationships were mostly for entertainment, and although the stories were real, many identifying facts and information had to be changed or switched around between other story times, something that Shannon even points out in her video. I didn't want to ever fabricate stories, so instead I would take real details and rearrange them, sometimes between completely different situations. I did this for multiple reasons: to make certain stories have an actual resolution, because a good number of them didn't, for the protection of the people within the stories, or, in the specific cases Shannon highlighted, the protection of myself.
Something that Shannon made sure to use against her in her most recent video. Much of Emily's video is a recap of things discussed previously, although she does offer some new receipts to drive the point home that Shannon's assumptions and recollections are highly inaccurate. Toward the end of the video she appears more agitated as she recalls the way in which Shannon treated her supposed mates. playing clips of the reactions of YouTubers known to have been close to the pompous wench. The entire video ultimately puts to rest Emily's side of things. She points out that she understands her receipts do lack in the timeline. This would be due to her not having been stalking and documenting Shannon's every move, as Shannon did to her. I do agree that it tips the scales, as Emily could likely not have predicted the level of creepy that Shannon was capable of. This is simply a brief synopsis, and I encourage you to watch Emily's entire video, which I have linked below. I have many thoughts on this entire situation, as I have followed it closely from its conception. Firstly, I should like to point out that very little attention has been focused on Anthony. Anthony being the boyfriend of Creepshow Art, and former boyfriend of Emily. In all of this, he has left Shannon to fight these battles on her own and remained in total silence. Never mind. I do hope that Emily is able to put all of this to bed once and for all, as I can imagine this is not an easy process to work through, especially given the amount of attention it has drawn from communities across the internet. As for Shannon, we can all hope that she sinks back into the shadows. Perhaps she will re-emerge creating content as if nothing has happened. Perhaps she has been here the entire time. What we can be certain on, Shannon has caused quite the kerfuffle across not only the art community, but the internet as a whole, and is a startling example of what happens when obsession with fellow creators, or ex-partners of current partners, takes an ugly turn. Let us all hope this is the last we hear of this. Something tells me it is not. Cheers.